You're standing in a field, the sky is open, the grass beneath you is green. Or is it? That color, green, isn't a property of the grass. It's not something stored in the blades or painted into the molecules. What's really there are photons bouncing off surfaces, waves of light your eyes absorb. But it's your brain that turns those waves into color. A dog beside you would see that same field in muted yellows and grays. A bee might see ultraviolet streaks you'll never perceive. The green you trust so deeply isn't out there. It's something your consciousness invents. And this isn't just true for color. Time, the ticking sensation of moments passing, can vanish in a dream or stretch infinitely in a moment of fear. The future you fear, the past you regret, even the now you cling to. None of it exists without your awareness shaping it. And the self, the you having these thoughts, watching this video, trying to make sense of it all, that sense of identity, of continuity, of I am, it's a story, one that your brain writes, edits, and rewrites with every heartbeat. You've likely never questioned these things. Most of us don't. We assume color is objective, time is linear, and the self is solid. But what if none of that is true? In this video, we'll explore 3 pillars of experience: color, time, and self, that only exist because you're conscious. These ideas aren't new. Neuroscientists, physicists, and philosophers have whispered them for decades. But knowing the theory and feeling the truth are different things. This isn't about abstract science or spiritual speculation. It's about waking up to the strange truth already pulsing inside your experience. This is beyond reality, a space where perception and mystery collide. If you're hungry to see what hides beneath the obvious, stay with us. By the end of this video, you might never look at grass or yourself the same way again. You walk through a forest at sunset. The leaves shimmer with gold, the sky bleeds orange, and the shadows stretch deep blue across the ground. It all feels so vivid, so unquestionably real. But none of those colors exist outside your perception. Light enters your eye as a vibration, a wave moving through space. The green of those leaves, that's just light with a wavelength of about 530 nanometers. But green itself? That's something your brain paints onto the world. This is not metaphor, it's biology. When those light waves hit your retina, they activate cone cells, 3 types, tuned to short, medium, and long wavelengths. But your brain doesn't just decode those signals like a computer. It interprets them, compares them, guesses. It fills in what it expects to see, what makes the most sense given context, memory, and light conditions. Color is never just received, it's predicted, and the predictions vary wildly. A dog walking beside you would see far fewer colors. Their world is yellowish-brown, muted, desaturated. A bee would see ultraviolet patterns hidden in flowers, guides you'll never detect. The mantis shrimp sees in a spectrum so alien it's impossible to imagine. If color were real, fixed, and external, this would be impossible. But it isn't. It's a translation, and every species speaks a different dialect. Even within our own kind, perception wavers. Think of optical illusions, 2 squares that appear different in shade until you cover the background. They're actually identical. The brain filters light not for truth, but for function. From an evolutionary perspective, you don't need to see the world accurately. You need to see it in a way that helps you survive. Find food, avoid danger, recognize patterns. Color is part of that system, a tool, a useful lie. And yet we live by it. We fall in love with eyes that shimmer green. We choose foods based on ripeness we've learned to decode through hue. We signal danger with red, calm with blue, freshness with green. These aren't just sensory facts, they shape our choices, beliefs, and identities. This doesn't make color meaningless, it makes it more precious. Like a dream we all agree to share even though we never quite see it the same way. Neuroscientist Donald Hoffman describes our experience as a user interface. Just as your desktop shows you an icon for a file, not the file's code or mechanics, your senses show you simplified representations, not reality itself. Color is one of the clearest examples. So the next time you walk through a forest, or look at the sky, or notice a traffic light turning red, Pause. Remember that what you're seeing isn't the world. It's a version of the world your consciousness is creating for you, moment by moment. And if something as solid-seeming as color can dissolve under scrutiny, what about time? You close your eyes for what feels like a minute, and an hour slips by. Or you're caught in an accident, and in a second, your life plays out in slow motion. Time bends, not just in dreams, but in the waking world too. It moves fast, then slow, then not at all. But the clock on the wall never changes pace. So what's real? The numbers ticking forward, or the stretch and squeeze of lived experience? Physics tells us time isn't what we think. Einstein showed that it bends with gravity and speed. On a satellite orbiting Earth, a clock ticks faster than one on the ground. The future and the past aren't fixed lanes, they're more like coordinates in a vast, timeless block. The now you're clinging to, it's just one slice of something much larger. But even that model doesn't touch what it feels like to live inside time. Your brain doesn't experience moments directly, it collects fragments, sights, sounds, sensations, and assembles them into a timeline. It edits as it goes. Like a film editor piecing together footage from multiple angles, it creates a story. This happened, then that. You're not experiencing time. You're remembering how it was pieced together. That's why dreams make no sense. They're non-linear, yet you rarely notice until you wake. That's why a week of routine can vanish from memory, while a single moment of awe feels eternal. Neurologically, time perception lives in the hippocampus, the insula, and the prefrontal cortex, areas tied to memory, emotion, and attention. If you're bored, your brain checks out. Time drags in the moment but disappears in retrospect. If you're engaged, everything compresses. Time speeds up, but your memory expands. So what are you really tracking? Not time, but change. Not seconds, but significance. And when those changes hit you hard, grief, joy, trauma, the clock inside you stutters. Survivors of accidents report time slowing down. Victims of heartbreak remember every second of silence. This isn't imagination, it's how the brain records intensity. Remove the observer and time loses meaning. No one is there to mark the now. Without memory, there is no past. Without anticipation, no future. Just data, motion, entropy, pattern. The universe keeps shifting, but time, as we know it, never happens. This doesn't make your experience of time false. It makes it personal. Every timeline is handcrafted, and like color, time is a survival adaptation. It helps you plan, avoid danger, form relationships. It lets you believe in continuity. But continuity is a story, a useful story, one that breaks in trauma, distorts in dreams, and vanishes in deep meditation. There's a reason time feels different on vacation, a reason you feel older after heartbreak, younger in love. A reason a child's summer can feel infinite, and a grown-up's week can disappear in a blink. Your life isn't measured in minutes, it's measured in moments that matter. So if color is painted by the mind and time is built from memory and emotion, what about the self? The one who sees and remembers. Let's now turn to the most persistent illusion of all. You wake up and say, "I'm still me." But who is that? The body has changed. Cells replaced, memories faded, beliefs you once held like gospel now feel like foreign languages. Yet the feeling of I am persists. Quiet, stubborn, familiar. We think of the self as a core, something continuous, a center of gravity around which all else orbits. But the more closely we look, the harder it is to find. Science doesn't locate a single self in the brain. There's no control room, no central narrator. Instead, there are networks, modules lighting up in response to memory, sensation, intention. The you who makes decisions isn't the same as the you who remembers them. Often, the brain decides first and the story comes after. In trauma, the story can split. Survivors sometimes describe feeling like different versions of themselves, each holding pieces the others can't. In Alzheimer's, the story dissolves. People forget their names, their histories, but still feel a presence inside. In meditation or psychedelics, the story can fall silent, and yet something remains, awareness without identity. The self is a process, not a thing. It's like a character in a film being written in real time, reacting to each new scene, improvising backstory when asked. It's memory stitched into narrative, emotion wrapped around intention. Cognitive scientist Thomas Metzinger argues that the self is a model constructed by the brain to help manage complexity. Without it, you couldn't plan, relate, or survive socially. You'd wake each day in chaos, unsure where you ended and the world began. The self gives continuity. It's a useful fiction. The brain's default mode network, active when we're not focused externally, is key to this illusion. It spins the inner monologue, simulates futures, replays pasts. It creates the feeling of a unified me. But turn it off through deep focus or altered states, and the boundaries soften. The voice grows quiet. Still, we cling to the story. We need it. It tells us who we are, what we've overcome, what we hope for. It gives shape to grief, texture to joy, meaning to struggle. The story isn't bad, it's beautiful. But it's not the whole truth, because under the character, there's the awareness watching. Noticing the thoughts, but not being them. Feeling the emotions, but not collapsing into them. That awareness is harder to name. It has no history, no future, just presence. So when you ask, who am I? Are you asking about the name, the memories, the habits? Or are you asking about the one who sees all of it come and go? We're taught to look outward for truth. But perhaps the biggest shift happens when we turn the gaze inward and see not a thing, but a space. Color was a dream your brain painted, time a pattern your mind arranged, and the self a story you've been telling, one that's still unfolding. But what if the most honest thing you can say is simply, I'm aware, and in that awareness everything else begins. There's something quietly astonishing about this moment, right now, the fact that you're here, not just watching, but witnessing, feeling the tremble of your own awareness against the edges of what you thought was real. Maybe today, the grass still looks green. Maybe the seconds still tick like they always have. Maybe you'll still answer to your name, carry your story like a coat across the seasons. But something in you is different now. A new layer of noticing has opened. A softness, a question. Something alive just beneath the surface, asking, what else might not be what it seems? Not everything real needs to be solid. Not everything true needs to stay the same. Sometimes the most honest things are the ones that shimmer, shift, and disappear the moment you try to grab them. That doesn't make them less real, it makes them sacred. That's where we'll meet you, in the shimmer, in the questions, in that strange, beautiful space between what science explains and what consciousness feels. This channel was made for that space, for minds that ache to remember something they've never been taught, for hearts that feel like the world is more than the sum of its facts. If something opened in you while watching this video, please subscribe. See you next time. Thanks for watching.